Welcome to Malice and Mystery, where shadows whisper and the unknown beckons. Step into a realm of spine-tingling horror, eerie mysteries, and chilling tales. From real-life paranormal encounters to unsolved enigmas and spine-chilling urban legends, we bring you the darkest stories from the shadows. Subscribe if you dare, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. Disturbing messages found in old abandoned houses, the blood-red warning. Leave while you can. In the depths of a dense forest, a forgotten Victorian mansion loomed, its grandeur now smothered by ivy and shadow. Abandoned for decades, the house bore a dark reputation, shadowed by murmurs of tragedy and mysterious disappearances. It was amid a routine urban exploration that a group stumbled upon the first of our unnerving messages. On the wall of what seemed to be a child's nursery, the chilling words "leave while you can" were inscribed in jagged, uneven letters. What made it especially disturbing was the medium blood-red ink, faintly glistening as though freshly applied despite the surrounding decay. The discovery's context only heightened the eerie atmosphere. The room was a snapshot of a bygone time, with toys strewn across the floor and an overturned crib suggesting a violent interruption of domestic peace. The explorers reported a powerful sensation of being watched, a feeling that grew stronger as they neared the ominous message. Local lore spoke of a family who had vanished without a trace from this very house, leaving their belongings as if they had fled in terror. Theories about the message ranged from a dire warning from a past inhabitant foreseeing danger, to a supernatural entity using the house as a conduit to communicate with the living. Further investigation unearthed old newspaper clippings that detailed the family's abrupt departure. Neighbors recalled hearing screams and seeing lights flickering erratically on the nights before their disappearance. Some believed isolation had driven the family mad, while others whispered of curses tied to the land on which the house was built. Despite repeated efforts to clean or remove the message, it always reappeared, as if guarding its secrets with malevolent persistence. This initial discovery set a chilling precedent for the other messages found in similarly eerie circumstances. Each message carried its own weight of mystery and dread. Yet none matched the visceral impact of the blood-red warning that seemed to pulse with a life of its own, urging all who entered to heed its dire counsel. The cryptic equation 7 to 3 equals 10. Deep within the decrepit confines of an old farmhouse, hidden in the rural outskirts of a small Midwestern town, explorers uncovered a second puzzling message, scribbled in faded pencil on the back of a warped wooden door. The equation 7 to 3 equals 10 stood out starkly against the decaying surface. At first glance, the inscription appeared nonsensical, a mathematical impossibility amidst the otherwise mundane remnants of a forgotten life. Yet, the longer one stared, the more unsettling it became. Was it a simple mistake, a deliberate act of absurdity, or something far more sinister? The farmhouse itself offered no clarity. Its interior was a labyrinth of broken furniture, dusty cobwebs, and peeling wallpaper, with no immediate indication of who might have lived there or why they would leave such a baffling message behind. Local historians claim the property had been owned by a reclusive mathematician named Arthur Hensley, who mysteriously disappeared in the 1960s. Hensley was rumored to have suffered from severe mental illness, his brilliance overshadowed by increasingly erratic behavior. Some villagers whispered that he had become obsessed with numerology, believing numbers held hidden meanings that could unlock the universe's mysteries or doom those who misinterpreted them. Theories about the equation began to circulate among those brave enough to investigate further. One interpretation suggested it was a cipher, a coded message meant to convey something beyond its apparent absurdity. Others speculated it was a reflection of Hensley's deteriorating mind, a final act of defiance against rationality before his descent into madness. But the most chilling theory came from a local folklore enthusiast who claimed the equation was part of a ritual. According to legend, Hensley had dabbled in occult practices, attempting to summon entities from beyond the veil. The numbers, she argued, were not meant to add up. They were a key, a doorway to something unspeakable. As explorers delved deeper into the house, they found additional clues that supported the occult theory. In the attic, a tattered notebook filled with cryptic symbols and equations was discovered, its pages brittle with age. Among the scribbles were references to the balance of chaos and the inversion of truth, phrases echoing the illogical nature of the equation. Nearby, a circle of salt was drawn on the floor, its edges smudged but still discernible. Whether this was evidence of a failed ritual or a desperate attempt to ward off evil remained unclear. The farmhouse, like the equation itself, resisted easy answers. Those who ventured inside often reported feeling disoriented, as though the space itself was subtly shifting, distorting reality. One visitor claimed to hear faint whispers emanating from the walls, voices murmuring numbers in incomprehensible patterns. Another swore they saw shadows moving in the corners of their vision, shapes that dissolved into nothingness when directly confronted. The equation, simple yet maddening, seemed to infect the minds of those who encountered it, leaving them questioning not only its meaning but their own grasp on sanity. By the time the explorers left the farmhouse, the equation had taken on a life of its own. It haunted their thoughts, lingering like an unanswered riddle. Was it a warning, a trap, or merely the ramblings of a broken mind? Whatever the truth, the message served as a stark reminder of the thin line between genius and madness, the unsettling power of numbers to shape or shatter our understanding of reality. The child's plea, "Please don't hurt me," tucked in the attic of a dilapidated colonial home. A third message was found faintly etched into the wooden floorboards. "Please, don't hurt me." The trembling strokes and uneven lines betrayed the desperation of the creator. Unlike the previous messages, this one carried a raw plea for mercy. The attic, with its low ceiling and narrow windows, cast the room in perpetual shadow. Dust motes floated in the dim light from cracked glass, and the air had a faint metallic temps from an old bed frame. Local lore painted a grim picture of the house's history. Once a bustling family home, it became the site of a custody battle turned violent in the early 20th century. The property belonged to Eleanor Grayson, whose marriage dissolved into acrimony. Her estranged husband, known for his temper, had partial custody of their daughter, Emily. Witnesses recounted Emily's tears after visits with her father, and neighbors whispered of bruises. One stormy night, Eleanor and Emily disappeared, and the father vanished, leaving only rumors of foul play. Investigators noted the carving appeared to have been made by a small hand, likely a child's. The placement near a boarded-up window suggested a futile attempt to signal for help. The message bore marks of haste and fear, with overlapping and uneven letters. Psychological experts highlighted the pleas' profound implications. The simplicity underscored the vulnerability of its author, a child caught in adult conflict. The word pleas indicated an awareness of power dynamics, a desperate appeal to stop the abuse. The phrase "don't hurt me" resonated universally and personally. For those who encountered the message, the emotional toll was immediate. Urban explorers felt physically ill tracing the grooves of the carving. One historian admitted to breaking down in tears upon reading the words, describing it as a wound that never healed. The haunting massage forced a confrontation with uncomfortable truths about childhood fragility and abuse. The attic became a shrine to the resilience of a child who, despite unimaginable fear, reached out for help one last desperate attempt to be seen. The ominous countdown, 3 days left. In the depths of a dilapidated industrial building, once the heart of a bustling textile factory, a fourth chilling message emerged, scrawled in bold black marker on a crumbling concrete wall. The ominous words "3 days left" loomed large, intensifying the palpable tension in the damp, musty air. The basement, a maze of rusted machinery and heaps of discarded materials, reverberated with unspoken fears. Positioned beside an old rusted clock halted at 3:15, The message's placement added an eerie synchronicity to the implied countdown. The building's history painted a grim backdrop. Locally known as the Blackwood Factory, it had witnessed a notorious labor dispute in the late 1970s. Workers, angered by unsafe conditions and unfair wages, staged a strike, only to face brutal retaliation from management. Amid the conflict, several workers mysteriously disappeared, their fates shrouded in secrecy. Official records were scant, but rumors persisted of clandestine meetings and covert operations potentially involving organized crime. The strike abruptly ended, with many workers vanishing from the town, leaving behind grieving families without closure. The discovery of the countdown message rekindled old fears and spurred new theories. Some speculated it was a relic from the labor dispute era, a warning of imminent danger or retribution. Others believed it hinted at more sinister activities, perhaps a signal related to illegal dealings within the factory's shadowy confines. The proximity to the stopped clock fed interpretations of doom and inevitability, as if the message foretold an already occurring catastrophe. Psychologically, the countdown's impact was profound. Visitors felt an inexplicable urgency, a compulsion to flee as though the frozen clock were still ticking down. The explicit warning, combined with environmental cues, the stifling darkness, cold drafts, and pervasive, decreed a storm of dread. Psychologists noted that countdowns inherently trigger anxiety due to their association with deadlines and finality. In this context, the message tapped into primal fears of mortality and loss of control, magnified by the setting's inherent eeriness. For those daring enough to explore deeper, the message became a catalyst for paranoia. Shadows seemed to shift unnaturally, and every creak of the aging structure echoed like footsteps in the vast emptiness. The air felt heavier, charged with an electric anticipation, as if the very walls held their breath. The phrase 3 days left echoed in the minds of explorers long after they had left the factory, a haunting reminder of time's relentless march and the secrets it conceals. The mirror's reflection. You're not alone. On the second floor of a sprawling, abandoned estate in the English countryside, a fifth message was found, etched into the tarnished silver backing of an antique mirror. The words, "You're not alone," shimmered faintly in the dim light filtering through cracked shutters. Unlike the previous messages, this one worked on a personal level, addressing the viewer directly and forcing them to confront their own reflection alongside the haunting declaration. The mirror framed in ornate, curling ironwork distorted the image it reflected, elongating features and casting shadows that danced unnaturally across the room. The estate, known as Blackthorn Manor, had a storied history steeped in tragedy and superstition. Built in the late 1800s by a wealthy industrialist, the house had passed through generations of owners, each leaving behind whispers of misfortune. The most infamous chapter involved the disappearance of Lady Margaret Ashworth in 1923. Locals claim she was driven to madness by the isolation of the manor, worsened by the oppressive atmosphere of the house. Over the decades, the manor fell into disrepair, its grand halls overtaken by ivy and its once luxurious furnishings reduced to rotting remnants. Stories of Lady Margaret persisted, with some insisting her spirit still roamed the halls, watching from the shadows. The message in the mirror seemed to lend credence to these ghostly tales. Those who stood before it reported an uncanny sensation, as though they were being observed not by their own reflection, but by something else entirely. The phrase, "You're not alone," offered both reassurance and dread. For some, it evoked the comforting idea of companionship, while for others, it carried a sinister undertone, suggesting an unseen entity lurking just beyond perception. The ambiguity of the message tapped into the viewer's deepest fears and insecurities. Psychologically, the mirror served as a powerful tool for manipulation, exploiting humanity's discomfort with self-reflection. Mirrors have long been associated with introspection and identity, but also carry connotations of the uncanny and the supernatural. Legends of mirrors acting as portals to other realms or capturing fragments of souls made them fertile ground for fear. In this case, the message compounded these anxieties, creating a feedback loop of paranoia. Those who gazed into the mirror often reported feeling a creeping sensation, as though unseen eyes were boring into their backs. Some claimed to see fleeting movements in their peripheral vision, while others swore they heard faint whispers in the stillness of the room. The impact of the message extended beyond its immediate surroundings. Visitors who encountered it found themselves unable to shake the feeling of being watched, even after leaving the manor. The phrase lingered in their minds, replaying itself in moments of quiet contemplation. For some, it became a source of obsession, driving them to return to the estate in search of answers. Others avoided mirrors altogether, fearing the same message might appear elsewhere. A spectral reminder of their encounter with the unknown. Blackthorn Manor, already steeped in mystery, grew darker and more foreboding with the discovery of the mirror's message. The phrase, "You re not alone," became a symbol of the estate's haunting legacy. A whispered warning to those who dared to venture within its walls. Whether it was the work of a tormented soul seeking connection, or a malevolent force preying on fear, the message served as a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. The final revelation, a tapestry of fear. As the exploration of these abandoned houses drew to a close, the cumulative effect of the 10 messages became overwhelmingly clear. Each inscription, whether a cryptic equation, a desperate plea, or a haunting countdown, wove together into a tapestry of fear that transcended individual narratives. The recurring themes of isolation, fear, and the unknown were not mere coincidences, but reflections of a universal human condition and intrinsic dread of what lies beyond the veil of the familiar. These messages, etched into the fabric of forgotten spaces, acted as mirrors to our collective subconscious, forcing us to confront the darker aspects of existence that we often strive to ignore. The psychological resonance of these findings cannot be overstated. Each message, in its unique way, tapped into primal fears, fear of the incomprehensible, and fear of the unseen. They challenged the explorer's perceptions of reality, blurring the lines between the physical and the metaphysical, the rational and the irrational. This confrontation with the unknown elicited a spectrum of responses, from paralyzing dread to an insatiable curiosity, highlighting the complex relationship humans have with fear. It is a paradoxical force that repels and attracts, pushing us to the brink of our comfort zones while simultaneously compelling us to seek understanding. Moreover, these messages underscored the enduring human need to leave a mark, to assert one's presence against the tide of oblivion. Whether driven by desperation, madness, or a desire to communicate across time and space, the creators of these inscriptions sought to transcend their immediate circumstances, reaching out to future generations with warnings, pleas, or enigmas. This act of leaving behind a fragment of oneself, even in the most desolate of places, speaks to a fundamental yearning for connection and recognition, testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. In reflecting on these discoveries, it becomes evident that the true horror lies not in the messages themselves, but in what they reveal about us. They strip away the veneer of civilization, exposing the raw nerves of our psyche. As we piece together the stories behind these chilling inscriptions, we are reminded of our vulnerability and the thin line that separates the known from the unknowable. The exploration of these abandoned houses, therefore, is not just a journey into the past, but a descent into the depths of the human soul, where fear and fascination intertwine in an eternal dance. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales of the mysterious and macabre. Until next time, stay curious and stay cautious.